October 8th was a very busy day for Vice President Kamala Harris and her presidential campaign. Since there are no more debates in the offing, the Harris camp is now focusing on media engagement, with only 25 days remaining for the V-Day. She appeared on 3 shows, starting with ABC's The View, followed by a special edition of SiriusXM's The Howard Stern Show, and ending the night with her first late-night appearance on TV after being nominated, by returning on CBS's The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. She had also recently appeared on Alex Cooper's podcast, Call Her Daddy, and the show 60 Minutes. Let's take a quick look at important takeaways from her 3 appearances. In all her appearances, Harris defended the Biden administration, promised Americans a better future, addressed issues around Hurricane Helene, illegal migration, and healthcare, was unabashedly critical of Donald Trump, and shared personal details from her life and days. Let's start with The View. In response to a question about how she would be different from Joe Biden as a president, she did highlight that as a unique individual, she would bring her sensibilities to the Oval Office, especially related to healthcare, women, and small businesses. But she didn't think that there was anything she would have done differently from him during his presidency. This was also because she was party to most of the decisions taken under the Biden administration. Later, however, she mentioned that as president, she will include a Republican in her cabinet. Harris was vocal in her criticism of Trump, condemning his political games, misinformation tactics, and a lack of empathy. She called his allegations on withholding funds for Republican-populated areas and diversion of FEMA funds for Hurricane Helene callous, especially in face of adversity. She also referred to Trump's attempt to undo the will of the American people after 2020 elections. Harris also announced her Medicare proposal and plans to address the border crisis during the conversation. Her second appearance on the Howard Stern podcast was one of the most revelatory so far, and not in terms of Harris the politician, but Kamala the person. Aside from discussing the threats she has received throughout her career, including her time as a local prosecutor,
I've definitely had death threats.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't generally talk about them, but
Right.
yes.
Why don't you talk about them? Because you don't want to encourage any kind of nuts out there, or is it because it's just too hard to confront?
I refuse to live in fear of the bad guys.
Yeah.
and her rising above fear, Harris spoke at length about her daily routine, interests, love for Formula One, especially Lewis Hamilton, and hip-hop, and friendly reminders of differences in choice of music between she and her husband Doug Emhoff. Finally, her appearance on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert was a combination of the frivolous and the grave. Kamala Harris addressed pressing global issues and on foreign policy underscored the importance of standing strong with allies like NATO and supporting Ukraine against Russian aggression. She criticized Trump's admiration for authoritarian leaders as dangerous and asserted that he gets played by these guys. In response to Trump's 2020 election defeat, she recounted his many losses and called him a loser. The show ended on a vibe high with the host and Harris popping open and sipping beer from a can, while Kamala recounted a funny moment from her presidential debate with Donald Trump last month and joked that this is what happens when she drinks. The emphasis on the flurry of social appearances and interactions has several reasons. Harris wants to make a final bid to get her message across to the American voters and prop herself up as a worthy candidate for the top job in the world. Since there will be no more debates, Kamala Harris is taking this opportunity to respond to Trump's allegations on her and the Biden administration in a public space, especially for young audiences who do not attend or watch campaign rallies. All these shows have a combined viewership of 30 million people, which Harris has been able to tap into. This is also a final attempt to shatter the Republican-created image of the communist cat lady who is against guns and responsible for the crisis of illegal immigration in the US. This is also the final chance for Kamala Harris to reach new voters at a personal level. by sharing unimportant yet intimate details of her life in an attempt to endear herself to the average American. These candid, light-hearted conversations are also quick to shift focus and present her as the prudent politician with a clear vision for the American future. How much the Vice President can make of this opportunity, however, remains to be seen. Bureau Report, India Today Global.